Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Somewhere between science and superstition.
We have such sights to show you.
Strange Eons. Welcome to Strange Eons Radio. That is Eric over there.
Hello.
That's Vanessa over there.
Hello.
I'm Kelly. You guys,
Yes.
I'm getting old.
Yeah.
And I have been okay with getting old for the most part. But,
Have you?
well, you might notice that my hair looks a little darker. So apparently not. I like to call it growing old disgracefully.
All right. There you go.
And I decided to take up old man yoga.
Excellent.
Ah, yes.
I thought what I was getting was an old man workout, like chair yoga, but this is apparently just yoga. There's been no chair involved in this.
Weird.
The weight loss has been minimal, but I am starting to limber up a little bit, which is good because, you know, bending over my back. Listen, my neck, my back, my pussy, and my crack, all of it in pain most of the time. So I've been doing
I
this.
think you like gave her the little beach ball rolling thing in her head there.
So it's also hot as balls. So I'm
Jesus,
doing most of
yes.
this in my underwear, and
Oh,
I'm
sexy.
sitting there thinking this would be an inopportune time for a home invasion, while I am attempting to downward dog.
Yes.
With my ass in the air and this calming voice saying, "Keep your spine straight." And I was like, that's not happening. With all of these movements, I'm trying to figure out what are they trying to achieve here, because I can't do what they're telling me to do. It's like, now keep your feet flat, knees straight, bend at the waist, palms on the floor. And I'm like, that's not happening. So is this about stretching my back and my legs? Okay, I'll just bend down as much as possible. But then you get in, I don't know what it's called. You're resting your ass on your heels, and then you're bending forward, touching your forehead, and then she's like, now take 3 deep breaths. Well, if you can imagine this gut pressed against my knee and my forehead on the floor, I'm like, I can hardly take any breath, much less a deep breath. So I don't know. I paid for this.
Yeah.
I'm going to continue doing this. I think I'm also going to find the chair workout thing I was trying to find and add that to the list.
Either do that or they you know those little blocks they sell that are like mysterious for yoga?
Yeah.
That's actually for that. It's for the stretches you can't quite reach and do all it allows you to get that extra length.
Oh, okay.
I just found this out. So.
Interesting. Yeah, because
So you can use or you can find a chair or a surface and do like part of, like use that
I
to
see.
go off of and stuff.
yeah, I've graduated to the standing on one leg, and you've got your foot
That's
up
good.
against your
sure.
knee and everything, and it's like keep your balance. Meanwhile, I'm like this the entire time, and my left leg not nearly as strong as my right leg. It turns out, but that's the leg that pops like a shotgun every time I stand up. So
It's okay to reach your hand out and just like lightly touch something so you don't fuck
Yeah.
yourself.
you
Jesus, Kelly.
you guys will find me some Sunday morning that we've
locked
come to
up.
record.
Like,
How you
like,
doing?
your
Nice
bones
undies,
fused
Kelly.
together.
It's called Downward Dog, Eric, and I can't get out of it.
You need like one of those little lifeline necklaces.
That will help me feel younger. Sure.
There you go. Yeah.
You're gonna do dangerous shit.
It's yoga.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I stand by what I said.
So that's fair.
Yeah, so that's what my life has been like for the last couple of weeks.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Did you watch anything spectacular while you're doing yoga?
Well, I've been reading a lot, and I'm not reading anything spectacular either, but I am reading something kind of interesting. It is called Red Harvest by Joe Schreiber.
Oh.
It is a Star Wars novel. It is a Star Wars horror novel. It is a zombie attack in the Star Wars world
Oh my god.
with Sith agents versus zombies and dark magic and all this stuff. And it's the only reason I decided to buy the book. And I have to admit, in a very nerdy way, I'm really enjoying it.
Yay.
Well, that's good. That's,
it's,
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, it's Walking Dead meets Star Wars, and the heroes are bad guys. So I was like, I'm actually kind of digging this.
Nice.
Nice.
That's good.
Yeah, it's called Red Harvest. If anybody else is nerdy in this particular kind of way and wants some zombies in their Star Wars, and the
Do we have any
author,
nerds that listen to this show?
No way, Jose.
the author of that again is Joe Schreiber.
Well, I've been spending a lot of time on a game that everyone else has played and beaten many, many years ago, which is Fallout New Vegas, which I always thought was a DLC for Fallout 3, but it is not. It is a whole separate game, which I was told, and I was like, oh, crap. So
What is a DLC?
a DLC is downloadable content, which means basically somebody built a game and then they put out like an extra chapter or
okay.
an extra couple levels, or an add-on of like, now you can go into this part of the world you couldn't go in before, and then you pay a little extra, and then you don't have a whole new game, but you have part of an extension of a game.
That's cool.
So
Nice.
I thought it was that. Nope, just a fully separate game. Started playing it, and man, I forgot about how you can just play Fallout and then like 6 hours go by.
Yeah.
And you're like, I was supposed to get to a shack that was like 50 feet away. I still need to get to that shack. However, I've gone on 4 side missions. I've picked X number of berries. I've like killed this other rogue outlaw, blah, blah, blah. So I've been playing this thing a couple of sessions now, many hours in, and I just left the like starter town that you just begin to understand the
Holy
world about,
jeez.
which is, so I'm like, oh, hey, that's my next destination. But what about this like other shack and this like roadside and that hill over there? So this is a dangerous game for me because time is valuable, but nonetheless.
I haven't played it in a while, but Grand Theft Auto used to do that to me.
Yes.
Like, so, oh, look at that person's got something on their head. Let's go see what they want done.
Exactly. It's so easy to just get lost in the side mission. I remember playing Fallout 3 where Liam Neeson is your dad and you're trying to save him.
Oh.
And I spent so much time not saving Liam Neeson that eventually the game forced me to further the plot for Liam Neeson. They're like, I know you're in this random place, but now this thing is going to happen and you're going to have to get back on track. Come on. And I was like, shit. Core plot reemerged.
Would you like to hear my Liam Neeson impression?
I do.
Bananas.
It's pretty good. I don't know at what point he says that, but
It sounds like that's
Very
how he would
impressive.
say it. Yes, I go with that. Sure.
yeah, I love it. I love it.
So, no, I've been watching Presumed Innocent on Apple TV.
Yeah. Okay. So finally they got away from a sci-fi show.
Yeah.
And
Jake Gyllenhaal, is that right?
Yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal plays the key role in based on the book.
it is
same
based
name.
on that same book. Okay. That's what I was curious if it's the same. I imagine they're going to change the ending.
I'm not sure yet. I haven't. It's Apple does weekly releases on this one.
Right.
So
Okay. Interesting.
Dean and I did not realize that. It's like, oh, there's 5 episodes. It looks like looked up something. Oh, maybe that's all. We watched like 5 of them in a row. It's very good. And it's like, oh shit, there's still like, I think it's like a 10
Probably
episode
another
run
five.
or
Oh,
something.
Yeah.
What have you gotten yourself into?
But it's quite good. It's there's one real big, and it's not a problem. It's just the story. Gyllenhaal's character is really hard to like, and it's intentional.
Yeah.
He keeps doing. It's like
Is he the lawyer? Or
yeah, he
okay.
plays the lead lawyer who's presumed innocent, but the acting is ridiculously good. But his character keeps doing little things like, "Will you stop being a dick?" But it's not. It doesn't feel bad. It doesn't feel like they're screwing with his character to just make him a dick. It's just this is the person this guy is, and he is. It's really, really well done. Again, fucking Apple TV, man.
Yeah.
And there's a few very, very strange things in it because it brings in dreams,
Oh.
and a couple of them are unexpectedly violent for a lawyer procedural kind of show, like a head exploding on camera.
Wow.
Like, oh my god. But yeah, if you like the lawyer kind of films and you think Law and Order is just not cutting the mustard, go for a really good one. I seem to remember this being one of the movies that I thought was fine.
I liked it.
Yeah, wasn't one of my favorite though, of that group that came out. There's like 5 of them that came out at the same time. But I think this is a definitely a deeper version.
Nice. I think it was up for a bunch of Emmys too.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
I could see that.
And then I just see that Apple is coming out with a Time Bandits series.
Yes.
Yes.
It is. With
And-
Lisa Kudrow.
With Lisa Kudrow, no little people,
Oh, really?
and
Correct.
a diverse cast. And I was looking at just the poster of this and thinking about how much I love the movie, going, I don't know that I needed a TV series about this.
It's one of those wait and see kind of. Just is it going to be Willow or is it going to be
Right.
something worth
Also,
watching?
everybody seems to love Lisa Kudrow, and I'm not sure why. Is
Friends.
she like spectacular or something?
I don't know. I mean, I liked her in Romy and Michelle's high school reunion,
Yeah.
but I think there was something else that people got really excited about her from because
Well,
that was.
Friends.
I mean,
no,
aside
she
from
had
Friends,
she had her own
there's
series
something.
that I think was like very highly regarded.
I've seen her pop up as like the principal in like various movies. and
Yeah, she
stuff.
does a lot of
Little
side
roles.
kind of things, but
Yeah.
I know neither of you guys like it, but Friends is actually still spectacularly popular.
Oh no! I liked Friends at the
So I think-
time. I just
Garbage, and she was probably my least favorite person in it. But
Ross was mine. Fuck that.
But-
fuck that noise.
she had a show that I think she played like an agent or something.
Oh, I don't know.
And I remember that being very highly reviewed and people really loving her in that, but I never gave it a try. So, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I will give this one a try.
Well,
I don't know.
Wait.
I will
to
wait for you
hear-
guys to talk about it and tell me that I need to watch it. I guess.
I don't know that I. It's
Yeah,
not on
because
the top of my list.
I might be better because I like Time Bandits, but I don't worship it. Like I know some people, it's
Sure.
like the greatest film ever made for
Yeah, I
them.
loved it.
And I like it. I think it's fucking great. Anything Terry Gilliam is at least well worth checking out.
Yeah.
He is fantastic. And I read some weird comment or something by someone who's like, I'm not sure what the guy from Monty Python had to make a weird movie like this one. Okay, you must be really young and not aware of this guy's filmography because
Lord.
this is right
That's
in
all
character.
he does is
Yes.
weird movies.
Yeah.
And has been for many decades.
Yep.
Many decades. At least some the 80s. I don't want to say the 70s.
Well, whenever
but-
probably the I don't. Well, he was involved with Holy Grail
Well, yeah, that would have been.
So,
70s,
yeah.
yeah.
since the beginning of Monty Python.
Yeah.
I mean, he did all
I
the
mean, it's-
animation things, all the really weird
Yeah.
animation was him. So yeah,
Fuck, man.
from day one, he's done weird art.
Yeah.
Let's see. I could talk about something that's more on brand, but I think what I'm going to talk about is a couple years ago, I watched Fletch for the first time, Chevy Chase.
Okay, I have never seen it.
I haven't either.
I know a lot of people love it.
Yeah.
It mostly annoyed me,
Sure.
and I started thinking to myself, Ryan Reynolds must have loved this movie because that character is Ryan Reynolds.
Oh,
And his
interesting.
delivery
Wild.
and all that stuff.
Whoa.
And so then just yesterday, I decided, I don't know why, to watch Van Wilder,
Okay.
Ryan Reynolds' National
Yeah,
Lampoon movie.
that I have seen.
And I thought it was pretty funny. He's one of those guys who has gotten much better looking as he's gotten older.
Yeah.
But he's got the same delivery going on in this movie. And that brought me to this weird thing where I was like, I wish that this wasn't Van Wilder. I wish this was a origin story for Chevy Chase's character from Caddyshack.
Wow.
Because
Jesus.
It just felt that way to me. He's been in college for 7 years now, and he does not want to deal with the real world and all this stuff. And everybody loves him except for the snobby guy who hates him in college and all of this stuff. And I thought it was kind of a fun little movie. It made me wonder what happened to Tara Reid
Oh,
because
Boy,
she was
yeah.
the
did she not die?
no.
She did Sharknado
Oh,
poorly.
oh. Okay.
But
sorry.
she was fine in this, and
Yeah.
she was very pretty, and I was like, huh, I wonder whatever happened with her.
You know, your description starting with Fletch to where you delivered those, like those headlines or those things. It's like, I did no idea where this headline was going word from word. That was just like what you said.
Real journey.
Listen, it was
That
a
was
real
great.
stream of consciousness. As I was making the decision to watch the movie, it all kind of fell in. Anyway, I guess the movie I'm talking about is Van Wilder, and I had some fun with it, and it was nice to see young Ryan Reynolds. I think this is kind of where he like developed that character that he is, that he
Oh,
plays in every
interesting.
fucking movie.
Yeah. That nobody realized was brilliant until at one point they were like, oh shit, wait. This is a cool idea for Ryan Reynolds. What if he wasn't a romantic lead? And instead,
Sidekick.
Yeah, I think that I don't know if it's brilliant, but it finally clicked with Deadpool.
Yeah.
But if you watch all of his movies, he's the exact same character
Yes.
in all of them. So
Yeah.
Most all of them. There's a couple like that buried.
Oh,
where he
right.
pulls out.
Right.
By it far and large. That was one of the. I saw that a weird way. Way back when I was working at Suncoast, and every once in a while we'd do a carpet changeover. So all the managers would get together after the store was closed. You'd empty the store out, carpet people come in and change the carpets, and then we'd go watch a movie while they did that.
Huh.
And that was one of the ones we watched during a carpet change.
oh my
was
gosh.
buried.
No, it was Van Wilder.
Oh, okay. I was like, because buried is like you go back and you're like, man, carpet, huh? Cool.
Well, and of course, you watch that movie's from 2002, so everybody in it has gone on to bigger and
Yeah.
better things since then. And like one of the nerds that he helps out was on Big Bang Theory, and of course, Cal is
Oh,
in there
really?
from
White Castle.
yeah.
Harold and
What was
Kumar.
that called?
Harold and
Harold
Kumar.
Kumar, yeah.
Dean and I watched that like last week.
Oh, okay. So yeah, it's just one of those. Oh, that's what's his name, and that's what's his name, and that's the kid from that thing you do, and so yeah. This is a very long-winded way of saying I watched Van Wilder yesterday, guys, and I thought it was kind of funny.
Cool.
Yeah, well, you know, it got more interesting with the storytelling progression.
Yeah, I seem to remember going on a Ryan Reynolds journey myself at one point, but I unfortunately watched The Proposal. Which
Ooh.
is,
Oh,
I don't think I've seen that one.
it's
no.
horrible.
Okay,
It's
is
not
that with
good.
Sandra Bullock?
It
Yeah.
is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a really shitty film.
That's
Yeah.
wild.
I know. So,
But it's not Van Wilder.
But it's not. It's not being wild. Well, I've been catching up on House of the Dragon season
Oh,
2,
yes.
which is more of what you would expect.
Yeah, it's House of the Dragon is weird
It
in that
is.
it's still got all the castle intrigue,
Mm-hmm.
but it seems to be lacking the grit and controversial concepts and ideas that part made Game of Thrones part of the reason Game of Thrones was so popular.
Yeah.
And they don't have a the one guy, the best character in the original Game of Thrones.
Oh my God.
Was it a Lannister?
Yeah, it was.
Was it Jamie Lannister?
No.
No, it
he's
was
talking
the
about,
the guy from.
Tyrion. What? I'd never watched the show or
Tyrion.
read the
Yeah, it
fucking
was
book. Why am I
Tyrion.
throwing out the names?
Tyrion. But there's not a character like him that whenever they're on screen, everything just focuses to
Yeah.
there. It's
I mean, the closest you get is Doctor Who.
yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
The-
Matt
Matt Smith is just because it's so out of character, it's fun to watch.
Fun. Yeah,
him
he's
do
fun
what
to
he
watch,
does.
but unfortunately, like it's just there's not enough of him, and he's sidelined / does enough bad things that you kind of are like, turned off
Yeah.
by him. Yeah, it's a weird one, and unfortunately, because it's been so long since watching House of Dragons season 1, I'm just like, who are these people? I watched the recap, and I'm like, okay, I remember you're supposed to have the crown, but you don't, and you do.
Yeah, that needed to be about 25 minutes longer.
I know. I
Because it
was
was
like,
more than a year between season 1 and 2. They took a
Yeah,
long
it's
time
just,
out.
and it was really complex at the time, and then you're watching this stuff going, who the hell are you? I remember vaguely, maybe you're on the side of this team or that team,
Yeah.
or who has dragons again? I mean, like, the most basic plot elements are out the window because it's so complicated that the nuggets you can hold on to are just the absolute largest ones,
Yeah.
let alone the little details. And like you were talking about, the original series got very far off of shock value. They were showing things that we had not really seen a lot of on TV, and it's like, oh my God, in the first episode, you know, somebody gets murdered or beheaded or whatever, and you're just off to the races. And this is like, well, there's nothing you can do because we already know the absolute craziest places you can go in here. So they're like, let's kill a baby. You know what I don't want to see?
Well, and also that
Guys.
did not work well story-wise either
It doesn't
because
even make
he
that
didn't
much
follow
sense.
the directions he was given at all.
No, it was very
Like,
confusing.
why are you killing this baby? It doesn't make any
It
sense.
doesn't make any sense. And on top of it, the conversation he has with the mother, which I didn't even realize was the mother. I thought it was like the
I thought it was the wet
maid
nurse or
yeah, I thought it was
somebody
the
like
wet nurse, or like maybe another guy's wife, because it didn't dawn on me that she was choosing between her two kids.
Yeah.
And then she was trying to outsmart him, and then it didn't work. I was like, what the fuck is happening? And I didn't know until the next episode that it was even her kids. I was like, oh, okay, glad we did that. Thanks, bros.
Yeah.
Love ya.
Peter Dinklage
Peter Dinklage,
was
yes.
the guy that
incredible.
made the original Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot of great
Skarsgård
characters.
was great in it too.
Yeah,
but-
there's a lot of great characters in that first one, but man, he
Yeah.
was so good.
Two things. I'm just going to derail conversation like we always do. I don't watch the show or anything, but I am a little angry at the Matt Smith pictures I've seen because I'm like, well, we're never going to get a Elric movie now because he looks like fucking Elric. He's riding a dragon. Does he have a black sword?
He does
also?
not.
Oh, well, something I saw, I was like, God damn it, this looks like it should be an Elric
There's
movie.
actually a guy in there that's
his-
even more
With his
Elric.
dragon wing helmet and all this shit.
There's another guy that's even more Elric, who's super emaciated and
Yeah, so I was
long,
just like,
pale
fuck.
hair.
And now they can't do that because everyone will say, oh, they're ripping off Game of Thrones for this new movie they've got
Give
coming
it a
out.
couple years, and people will forget.
And
It'll
then,
be fine.
secondly, speaking of Peter Dinklage, you saw the Toxic Avenger movie, right?
Yeah.
Shelved completely, not
yeah,
coming
I
out.
noticed that.
And
What?
I was like,
Yeah.
what happened here?
What?
Yeah, there's some weird distribution didn't want to do something. And instead of working it out, they just said, "Oh well."
Oh, sorry, guys. I feel like I'm the wrong person to have gotten a sneak peek at a film that's not coming out.
I think I remember
Fuck.
you saying you kind of liked it.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it wasn't terrible, but I didn't love it either. I don't know. I felt like I was the least biggest fan in the audience because I hadn't seen the original.
Right,
Oh,
but
sure.
it's so strange because this was not like a trauma film. This was a big budget film,
Yeah.
and yeah, I just read that and I was like, "What is going on with this now?"
Weird.
It connects because isn't Peter Dinklage in that too?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because he
See,
is.
it all works.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I was saying.
No,
that's why
yeah.
I preface that
There's
with Peter
some really
Dinklage.
great little moments in it. It does feel like they're trying to be trauma, and it does have head trauma guy is in it.
Lloyd Kaufman.
Yeah, he like does a little like wink, wink, nod, nod in it. So, and I think he has a credit.
Probably. I
But-
mean, he's
Assume, yeah.
the creator.
Yeah, that's too bad. That's crazy. I'm
All right,
sorry.
back on track, Eric.
Yeah, I'm gonna dive in on the movie of the moment right now in the horror crowd. It seems with Long Legs.
Long legs.
Matt and I went and saw that at your old house of worship, Kelly, in
Oh,
Alderwood.
Oh, at Alderwood?
Yeah, the Alderwood 16 or whatever it
Oh,
is.
okay.
Oh,
Boy, you know, I've been spoiled by the Cinemark theaters.
Oh,
Because it still has the old style seating and all that stuff. It's like, well, this is not, I like this. We used to sit like this. but,
Same.
Boy, neat movie.
okay.
It's, Micaiah Monroe is amazing in this film. Her role is weird and strange. You've seen it, right?
No.
Oh, I thought
no,
you had.
I'm trying. I want to soon, as soon as possible.
There's some strange choices she makes in the way she does the character, but they're interesting and she's fun to watch. Nicolas Cage is, of course, Nicolas Cage. Matt had an interesting point he made afterwards. It seems like the last few movies he's done, like he's out of his tax problems, so he's picking
He's choosing.
deeper films that he really wants to dive into and act and not just be
Right.
goofy, although at times he's over the top in this, but that's the character. It's less horror than I was expecting, but it's definitely horror. There's a lot of comparisons to Silence of the Lambs, which I think is a little weird, other than it's just a female FBI agent going after a serial killer.
Oh, sure.
But
Yeah.
the I don't know, it's smart, it's interesting, it is weird enough and convoluted enough that it bears another viewing.
Okay.
It's some kind of film where you're like, I know I'm missing shit that's going on here, but it is well worth checking out. It is very, very dark and uncomfortable in a lot of ways.
I've heard so many like whispers and rumors and excitement behind this film that I can't wait to go check it out.
Yeah, it's. I think I don't know. It's back and forth. It's one of those films. Like, okay, I don't know. People are maybe totally overhyped. Well, maybe they're not. But I mean, the Black Coat's Daughter the guy did is also really good.
Oh.
And I haven't seen On the Pretty Thing That Lives in the whatever that's called.
Oh, it's boring.
But yeah, the Black Coat's Daughter there's pacing.
Yeah.
Similar pacing in both of these films where
Okay.
it's deliberate. But
Okay.
well worth watching. And it was packed. It was Wednesday night in Alderwood, and the theater was damn near packed, except for that front separated area. There's like 8 or 9 people in there, but we were in the front row, and the rest behind us just like, holy shit, there are
Wow.
a crap ton of people in here.
So that's Perkins that's directing Longlegs? then?
Oz Perkins, yeah.
Okay. I have to admit, I have really enjoyed the marketing for this film, and that the trailers don't really tell you anything, but they're so goddamn creepy that I was like, oh, okay. I like the idea of not showing us a bunch of the film.
It's a nice change.
Yeah.
Because before the damn movie started, I swear to God, there was more than 20 minutes of trailers. I have not seen that many trailers before a movie in a long, long time. The Alien one was good, though.
Yes. Yes.
Can't wait for
Well,
that.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
Why don't we take a little break, though, and then when we come back, we're going to be notching another one off of our to-watch lists.
The time has come for the Zoids. The giant Zerk is complete. Other Zoids are being assembled and primed with power. They must compete for survival, Zoid against Zoid. But whichever Zoid wins this time, there are others waiting. Zoids, monster machines with the power to move, only from Tomy.
Hello?
Let's see who's called the Strange Eons radio hotline.
Hi, it's Mike DeBronzo, and welcome to the Mike DeBronzo hotline. Let me give you that number. It's 1-253-237-4266. 1-253-237-4266. Be sure to give a jingle. Let me know, maybe people like to hear my golden pipes. I don't know. By all means, if you had a question for Kelly, Vanessa, Eric, throw that in too. Maybe even suggest what an episode should be about. This is my message for you. So please give us a call, 1-253-237-4266. Please use this message.
If you'd like to call the Strange Eons radio hotline, dial 253-237-4266.
Nobody hangs up on me.
We have returned. Eric, this was your subgenre pick.
Why,
You wanna
yes, it
explain to
was.
people what this means again.
This is last time you both picked movies off a list that you did not like.
Correct.
True.
So I'm hoping this time you picked movies you might have liked.
Oh, okay.
I'll give it another run through.
Awesome.
Well, why don't you start us off? I'll give you 10 minutes on the buzzer.
Nice. So this continues my dive into the Coffin Joe world with This Night I'll Possess Your Corpse.
Oh, God.
Second one in the series there. This is from 1967. No critics score, but a 69 from the audience, which sort of fits. It's available on Shudder. It's also in a Spectacular Arrow box set and for rent in various places. Directed by Jose Mojica Marins, Coffin Joe, who's been in several of the movies. He's directed several of the movies. He's written several of the movies. He's also been in The Strange Hostel of Naked Pleasure and Hellfish Flesh.
Oh, my God.
Written by Alendoras de Seporta, and the only film he's written. And Coffin Joe. Acting, Coffin Joe. Who's also been in Embodiment of Evil, Ed Mort, Cine Trash, and Tina Wallers and Nadia Freitas, both basically almost everybody else in this movie. This is like the only film they've done. Movie starts with a saying that it takes place immediately after where At Midnight I'll Take Your Soul ended. So he's kind of writhing around, messing around with coffins and doing stuff. It's a weird film. The opening credits indicate that this is going to be one batshit crazy movie because it's filled with scenes you can see are going to be upcoming in the film.
Oh.
Little clips and moments from it. Plus, then it'll stop and tell you a little bit of the story. Then it keeps going again. So it's a long credit sequence. But it's also telling the story, so it's not hard to watch. Shortly after the movie starts, Coffin Joe comes riding into town, and everyone runs yelling. Doesn't want to see him, don't want to confront him. He's not a particularly well-liked person. By the time he gets into the town, there is not a single person in the streets. He eventually, finds some people and starts talking to them about how he feels that children are the most superior creations in the world. Too bad they grow up to be idiots.
Beautiful.
Is his line. There's a guy on an out of control shortly after the speech. You see a guy in an out of control motorcycle about to plow into a group of children. So he runs over, scares almost all the children away. Then the one kid that was left, Coffin Joe grabs and takes to safety. And the motorcyclist comes up to him. Oh, that's wonderful. It's so glad that God intervened to help us save this child. And Coffin Joe turns to look at him. Why not the devil?
Ooh, beautiful.
Alrighty. So Coffin Joe continues to be strongly anti-religion in this film. It's about this point, 15, 20 minutes in, maybe a little longer. I'm not entirely certain what's happening in this film. It's cutting around to various women doing various things. Maybe somebody's stalking or grabbing them. It's not really played real well, although as the movie comes on, this comes to light. Because nobody can figure out why all these women are disappearing. They all decide it must be Coffin Joe, and they are correct.
Oh.
He has decided, as the superior man, that he needs to find a superior woman to have his superior child.
Oh.
Okay.
This is a man who, if he had X today, would have alpha male in his description.
Oh my God.
Because he isn't that spectacular. He's kind of a dick. So his idea, he's got to find his perfect woman. And what he does, he kidnaps all of them, puts them in a room wearing various shades of negligees, and unleashes a torrent of tarantulas.
Ah.
There are a lot of spiders in this scene. And as all the women are laying perfectly still, you can tell it is real spiders crawling over them. Some of them 5 or 6 at a time.
No.
And then as soon as they start to move, that somebody came in and swept all the live spiders away and replaced them with little dangly spiders and stuff. So it's like, well, that was nice. They did that favor for them, but very impressed by the people who could sit still while 7 or 8 tarantulas are walking all over their nearly naked bodies. But one of the women does not get scared. So to Coffin Joe, this must mean she is the superior woman.
Sure.
Oh, God.
And so he takes the rest of the women and gives them this weird choice of you can die this way or you can go through this door. So they all go through the door. And of course, then he closes the door, traps them, and drops a whole bunch of snakes in there with them. And while he decides he goes upstairs to impregnate the superior woman. And to entertain during this action, he opens a hole to this cavern with all the women yelling and screaming while the snakes attack him. So the superior woman there decides, you know what, this ain't for me anymore. And she leaves. He doesn't kill her. She gets to just leave because at one point she was the superior woman for him. But obviously she's not the woman to bear his male superior child. Only male, of course.
This is quite a movie.
I hate this film.
It is crazy.
This fucking sucks.
You might want to avoid the Coffin Joe movies because he is not the greatest person.
Jesus.
Let's see. And then another woman shows up in town. Oh, do you suppose Coffin Joe will be interested in this lady? They all look surprisingly similar. But this woman has no fear. Says she has no fear and is very similar to him in the way she acts and does things. So she must be the superior woman for him to impregnate. So he goes on to seduce her, which she completely wants. She wants to join with him and be with him, and she is all for it.
Cool.
Because she likes the extreme evil. Women never go for bad boys.
That's
so
true.
he had to work really hard to convince her to like him.
Jesus Christ.
But he has this horrible nightmare during the nightmare or like a
Premonition?
what do you call it? No, it's definitely not premonition. But the when you get frozen and you see a demon, the night terrors, kind of like that. A really creepy looking person painted up and in there, and then he wakes up in what appears to be hell, and suddenly the movie is spectacular color. Incredibly vibrant, crazy color. And I say this movie's a little surprising for a film from 1967 because I don't know Brazilian standards, but there's a lot of nudity and a fair amount of not graphic but implied sex and some really strange violence. So this seems weird. And nothing blatant though, just see-through negligees or clay-covered men and women butts and all this weird stuff. It's a very strange film. And he goes through there and gets in an argument with who seems to be the devil, who is him in a different outfit.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm not entirely certain what he got out of doing this trip to hell, because he goes back to doing exactly what he was doing before anyways. So, but it's a neat scene. Boy, it is a cool looking scene. But do you gotta wonder, will he prove himself to be the superior male? Get a baby made from his spawn and the perfect woman? Or will she go really wrong for him by the end?
Excellent.
This is the 2023 reissue of the film from Arrow, and incredibly well issued, of course. Just looks spectacular, especially the color scene is just crazy vibrant. A Brazilian Association of Film Critics lists this as one of the 100 best Brazilian films of all time. I'd be very curious to see what their number one choice is.
Yeah.
It is a much better constructed movie as far as the story and things going together. As convoluted it is, it definitely makes a lot more sense than the first film. The first film is basically him just wandering around being an asshole. This one, no matter how bad his intentions are, his character does have a motivation other than just being a dick, which is kind of all he is in the first film. But, yeah.
So I'm curious, how did this film end up on your list of films to see one day?
Coffin Joe. I've been curious about Coffin Joe as a film character. He's kind of the Vincent Price of Brazil.
Okay.
And he has I can't remember how, he's got like 6 or 7 Coffin Joe films. Okay. He was a horror host for short films and on TV and stuff. He's just this bizarrely interesting character out of Brazil that's very reminiscent of if Joe Bob was played himself in movies and stuff.
Gotcha. Oh, interesting.
So
okay.
That's just why.
Why do you hate women so much, Eric?
That was my follow-up question.
I didn't make the fucking movie. And I'm also not recommending the movie necessarily unless you're interested in Brazilian Coffin Joe films, which I know a few people are that listen to this.
Absolutely.
But, if you're going to avoid heavily sexist films, your film watching catalog is going to get very small very quickly.
No, I understand. I'm just saying I'm allowed to react to shittiness of the situation.
Oh yeah, he's a fucking dick. I mean, I don't know if you've seen some of the guys on X that call themselves alpha male.
I have not. But
they are treats. They are.
Holy Smokosaurus Rex.
I stay off X. Vanessa, I'm giving you 10 minutes.
Good call.
All right. Well, I'm going with a film that I think blew both your socks off that I had not seen, which is the film The Crow.
People once believed that when someone dies, a crow carries their soul to the land of the dead. But sometimes, just sometimes, the crow can bring that soul back to put the wrong things right.
gasoline I smell?
Victims, aren't we all?
Yes.
Nice.
This was a surprise to find out you hadn't seen The Crow.
Yes. It's like, what?
It's true. It's 1993. No, 1994. Rotten Tomatoes score of 86% from critics and 90% from audience. Budget of 23 million. Box office of 94 million.
Nice.
Did very well.
Yeah, it did.
Directed by Alex Proyas, who has 39 credits, including Dark City, iRobot, Knowing, and Gods of Egypt. What a shotgun of films. I have seen Dark City. I think I might have talked about it for the show, but it's a pretty cool film. I think this is more in line with that film. Written by James O. Barr, who did the original Crow comic. David J. Schroe, who has 18 credits, including Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, Critters 3 and 4, and 5 episodes of The Hunger Show. John Shirley, 19 credits, including a lot of cartoons like The Real Ghostbusters, RoboCop, Spawn, and the 2014 TMNT series. Also wrote on Star Trek DS9 for like an episode. Starring Brandon Lee as Eric Draven, son of Bruce Lee. 10 credits to his name, including Rapid Fire, Showdown, and Little Tokyo. I know I've seen one of his films, but I can't remember which one. Sophia Shinas as Shelley, 13 credits, including Terminal Velocity, Hostile Intent, and Ripperman. Ernie Hudson as the cop in this, 261 credits, including Ghostbusters, the reboot of Quantum Leap, Transformers Prime, Oz, and Leviathan, among many others. Michael Wincott as Top Dollar, 68 credits, including Strange Days, Three Musketeers, and what I was going, oh my god, during, which is he played Antlers Holst which is the DP in Nope.
Oh,
which I like. I cannot get out his rendition of the green-eyed, three-eyed, whatever, that song. Anyway, Purple People Eaters. Also in this film, Tony Todd, Michael Massey, David Patrick Kelly, Lawrence Mason, and John Polito. Plot. Each year on Devil's Night, in a crime-ravaged, I think, alternative universe version of Detroit, people light things on fire, destroy things, and crime is just crazy. Criminals take full advantage of the night. And we know this because the cops who, after we see a pan through the city of about 50% of the buildings on fire, the cops say, hey, crime is down this year. Weird. A young woman, however, is raped and killed while her fiance is shot and thrown to his death from their loft apartment window. Police Sergeant Daryl Albrecht goes with Shelley to the hospital, but she succumbs to her injuries. We hear from a VO done by a little girl that a crow carries the souls to the land of the dead, or it is said to be. But if a person dies in a tragic circumstance, the crow can resurrect that restless spirit and bring them back to set things right. 1 year later, which is kind of confusing because I don't think it said 1 year later. We just know that we're coming back around to that night again, and the little girl seems a little bit more chill than she was in the previous scene. Sarah, the young girl, who Eric and Shelley basically took care of, goes and visits their grave and is like, oh man, sucks, miss you guys. Then goes and gets a hot dog with a police officer that we had seen from the year previous. A crow then lands on Eric's grave, taps it, and resurrects Eric. He returns to his apartment and experiences flashbacks of the murders. He gets the visions of what happened and the gang who killed him and Shelley. Eric realizes that he also has the ability to immediately heal from any injuries. He puts on some black and white face paint and sets out to avenge himself and Shelley with the help of the crow, he can see through the eyes of. So it kind of scouts things out for him. We also meet Top Dollar, who is the crime boss who had set the gang on the couple to basically evict them from the building in the most really uncontrollable way possible. They could have just said, "Hey guys, could you get out?" Nope, had to rape and murder them. He and his Top Dollar and his girlfriend / I guess sister, as he says later, are surrounded by drugs and a dead woman whom the sister carves the eyes out of and uses as a kind of fortune teller thing to tell Top Dollar that someone is coming for him. We then see Eric, of course, go through, take revenge, one person by one person at a time, all the way through the gang until he gets to Top Dollar himself in a final showdown. In the meantime, he is, of course, getting help from the cop and the kid. This film is way more like the character of the crow is way more cocky, funny, and personable than I thought he would be. Yeah. I thought he was just like an unstoppable killing machine in goth makeup. No, he's like really fucking fun. Yeah. Really cool. Of course, Brandon Lee does a great job. Also, of course, the villain, who I had just mentioned was the DP guy from Nope. He's so fucking fun and cool as the villain. I mean, he's horrible. Yeah. He's absolutely horrible, but he's kind of also hilarious in the lines he presents, and it feels like there's some improv going on. Tony Todd is also great with his bendy glasses. At one point, he's just like, puts on glasses, bends around ear, fucking great. He doesn't have to say other thing in the entire film. He's already so fucking cool. The only downside of this film, which by the way I absolutely love, this was cool. So good. This was so fucking good. Nice. The only downside is this is the birth of so many pretentious, irritating guys who then went on to mimic themselves as thinking they were outsiders, but also so fucking clever and above it all. I have met guys impersonating the crow so many times in high school, and they were all fucking dicks. Yeah. They were not as good as this guy, and fuck them for trying. Oh, God, that is the only bad part. However, I did enjoy the 90s. Shelley's wearing at one point this black velvet long dress. So cool. The evil sister chick was literally wearing a pair of heels that I owned. And I was like, oh, those were the best heels. I miss those. There's long leather coats. There's skinny black clothes, chunky Doc Marten boots, candles. Fucking candles everywhere. Red painted rooms. I don't know why we were into it in the 90s, people, but we were. There was cat. There's goth. So much goth. Holy shit, there's a lot of goth. You know, this film could have been irritating as hell. It really could have just been on the nose and just not good. But the way that this film is done, I feel like it creates a world that we then spend time in, and it's not the place we don't want to be. It just works. The shots are really fantastic, and even though it's early CGI in a lot of it, it's still really fun, and I think they did a pretty good job. Close-ups of the crow. Crow is best crow actor I've ever seen, even though I know he's a raven, but still, good job. Yes. Yeah. Story, of course, the story behind this is super tragic. Everyone listening already knows this. However, trivia, Brandon Lee died during the making of this film. It is from a mix of the low budgetness, the changing of the scene at the last minute, the armorist going home early. All of this kind of resulted in a horrific tragedy. In the flashback scene of Lee's character Eric being shot in the apartment and Shelley getting raped, there was a dummy cartridge and a prop gun that had blanks in it, but unfortunately had a mix of this sort of primer and bullet from the dummy round still being in there. It's a very complex set of things that occurred that essentially meant that when the shot was meant to go off, instead it acted like a live round, and it shot Lee in his abdomen. He was taken to hospital, but of course died. Lee was, just like his character, engaged to be married about a week after filming was meant to commence. Just to add to that, O'Barr, the comic author, had made this based off of his fiance, who had died in a drunk driving accident. Jesus. He said he regretted making this film because it felt like losing his fiance all over again, and he wished he'd never written the comic in the first place.
Wow.
Yeah. The filmmakers had decided to go ahead and finish the film. They actually only had 3 days of filming left that had not been completed. Lee's fiance gave her blessing, and Miramax agreed to release the film. They added the narration scenes and used Lee's stunt double as a stand-in, and then did some digital face replacement. I actually thought it was really well done. I couldn't tell. I could tell maybe a couple of wide shots, but most of the time I couldn't tell which scenes he'd been replaced in. They also fully got rid of a character to make it just work. There were also several other accidents that befell the production crew. A carpenter suffered serious burns in his upper body during the first day of filming. A manual worker had a screwdriver get embedded in his hand. An equipment truck burst into flames. A stuntman broke several ribs after falling through a roof. A rigger was horribly electrocuted. A disgruntled set sculptor went berserk and drove his car through the props room, destroying it. And a hurricane destroyed several of the sets. Also, coke was rampant on the set. What? Shockingly. A sequel was released called, of course, The Crow, City of Angels. There were plans to remake it starring Jason Momoa in 2018, but Momoa left the project, as did Luke Evans. Evans didn't want to ruin Brandon's iconic role and felt unworthy. It's okay. No one will ever remake this movie because... it is such a specific of its time piece that we don't have to worry about that happening.
Part of what so many of the sequels miss, is, and it comes up with the people you're talking about that were doing The Crow and as a real life person.
Yeah.
What makes this movie work so well is not the revenge.
Yeah.
It's the love and the caring that the cat that he's got that's sends him into the revenge.
Yeah.
There's plenty of movies where guys just go out and shoot people that wronged them. But this works differently because the motivation and the pain and everything that Brandon does in that role it's hard to watch at times. I tried to watch one time when my head was not in a great place and I couldn't finish it. I'm like, nope, this is too much angst right now. But I'm glad you liked it. That is very cool.
Yeah, no, I'm really glad that I liked it too, because I was really worried. I mean, especially with these classic films that are super stylized and a bunch of douchebags tend to obsess over. I worry, not you guys. I'm just saying the guys from the 90s that were in my high school.
We both know those guys too.
Yes.
Not from high school at that time, but later. Yeah,
I mean, that just layers on an extra level of intolerability to it. But it was so good. It was just such a great film, and I can see rewatching it in the future. And like you said, I mean, not only his love for her, but his love for the little girl, and his showing up for her over and over again. His hanging out with the cop and just having funsies times. They're just chatting away. Like, there were just really good moments. He was not an unstoppable killing machine. He was like a dude. Yeah.
I think the real tragedy is that this would have turned Brandon Lee into a superstar.
I know.
He would have been everything to do
because he was a better actor than his dad, and basically been taught by his dad. So I mean,
you can tell like when it turns more into his stunt double doing work than him, because I feel like his stunts were really smooth and looked really good. And also, he like lost 40 pounds for the role. He looks incredible. He's loving it. He's having a great time doing it.
Yeah.
It is so unfortunate. So unfortunate.
Yeah. I'm glad that you were able to notch this one off. This is one that I would have thought every goth girl has seen.
I know, right? Gosh. No, but I had seen, like fucking Nightmare Before Christmas. I saw that in theaters. I had the watch from Burger King.
All right. Well, that's the same.
I was in fourth grade, guys.
I don't remember a Crow Burger King watch. So, although I think there were tie-ins to this film when it came out, but not like that.
All right, 10 minutes for myself now. I am talking about a film called Death in Brunswick.
Let's start at the beginning. That's Carl. Now, the one thing that everyone agreed on was that Carl was slightly unusual.
Stupid bastard. Make a decision.
You're hopeless, Carl. Hopeless. When are you going to grow up? He would have been a better man if he'd finished university.
But the one person who never put him down was Sophie.
I'm Sophie.
Carl.
So it was obvious when Carl and Sophie got together,
We all thought you were a puff.
it had to be something special.
What are you doing?
Oh, nothing much. Just sitting around, thinking about you.
Like all true romantics, they thought the world belonged to them. Not everyone agreed.
How old is she? She's beautiful, really beautiful.
She's exceedingly common, I can imagine.
How old is she? She likes me.
Why don't you tell her the truth just for once?
How old is she, Carl? Trying to think of it not so much as losing a daughter, but more like gaining a son.
But something rather magical had happened to Carl. As this movie so clearly proves,
How come I didn't meet you years ago?
I don't know. Probably because I was still in school.
there is love,
You've met me now, haven't you?
laughter,
This is how you do it.
and life. Before, after, and during Death in Brunswick.
I don't want to live like this anymore. Look at me.
When it all hits the fan,
What's happened to you?
poor old Carl just forgets to duck.
I fell over.
Sam Neill, Zoe Carides, and John Clark. An award-winning performance, probably.
Hi.
Was that you?
Huh?
Must have been me. Sorry.
Death in Brunswick.
From 1990. I could find no budget. The box office is about, that can't be right. I'll get to the box office because I have some trivia about it. The Rotten Tomatoes critics give it 67%. The audience gives it 62%. Written and directed by John Ruang, who has 7 credits, including Queensland, Blood Money, and Dead Letter Office, and it is based on the novel by Boyd Oxlade. Have you guys seen Death in Brunswick? Have you even heard of Death in Brunswick?
I've heard of it, but I have no idea what this is.
Starring Sam Neill.
Ah.
154 credits, including The Final Conflict, Possession, Jurassic Park, Event Horizon, and In the Mouth of Madness. Also starring Zoe Carides, who has 90 credits, including The Black Balloon, The Kiss, The Real Adventure Begins, and Terminus. And John Clark, who has 38 credits, including Ghost Can Do It, Crackerjack, and 36 episodes of Clark and Daw. Also, Doris Yunane, Deborah Canny, and Boris Berker. Okay.
Wow.
You guys, Death in Brunswick. This movie has been on my to-watch list for 20 years for one simple reason. It is Sam Neill.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorite actors, whether he's Damien Thorne in The Final Conflict, or Alan Grant in Jurassic Park, or John Trent in The Mouth of Madness, or William Weir in Event Horizon. You kind of have an idea of who this guy is going to be. Now, if I tell you that the genre of this film, it's Australian, it's an indie film, it's crime comedy, with Sam Neill as the lead, you already know what you're getting, right? He's going to be either a vicious crime lord who's on the warpath. We watch him. He's always cool. He's always very likable, whichever side of the law he's on. In this film, Sam Neill plays Carl, a 34-year-old loser who's living with his domineering mother. He's somehow a drunk and a nerd at the same time, extremely unlikable right from scene 1. We first meet him as he is awakened by a clattering noise outside his window. So he groggily puts on clothes and goes out to see what the noise is, and it's a couple of empty beer cans that are being blown around by the wind. So he stomps them flat so they can't make noise anymore. And this is the example of the kind of character he is. He just stomps them flat, walks away, leaves the garbage right there outside his window, and he will always take the easiest way out for everything. When his mother tells him that he really needs to get a job, he goes down to a local bar to apply as a cook. He gets the job and is immediately annoyed that he got the job because they put him to work that day, and he makes friends with the other cook there, a man named Mustafa. But more importantly, he meets Sophie, who is a barmaid at the pub, and she's young and beautiful, and they hit it off. She's taking her little brother to the movies later and invites him along, and he goes home and cleans himself up, slicks his hair back, and puts makeup on his face, like concealer, that kind of stuff, in an effort to look a little younger. And then he heads to the theater. He meets Sophie and her little brother, who immediately makes fun of the makeup on his face. And then they go to the movie while he's rubbing the makeup off. The movie they are watching is Howling 3, The Marsupials.
Oh my God.
Not sure why I enjoyed that so much, but I really did. The scene looked so funny. I was like, I might have to watch this movie again. I know it's bad, but... Anyway, Carl and Sophie hit it off, and she drags him home where they have sex. And we find out Sophie is 17. Carl balks at this a bit, but Sophie assures him it's fine. Her friend is 17 and married to a 40-year-old. But also, they better make sure her dad doesn't find out. Meanwhile, it turns out that Mustafa, his friend at work, is also a drug dealer. And when the restaurant owners find out, they beat him up. And when Carl comes to work that evening, Mustafa thinks it was Carl who told the owners about his drug dealing, so he attacks Carl. Unfortunately, Carl is holding a very sharp fork tine thing for skewering meat, and Mustafa runs into it and skewers himself and dies.
Oh, God.
Jesus.
So Carl is beside himself, but he's also sure he will go to prison for murder. So he calls his buddy Dave, who is a gravedigger, and they decide to hide the body.
Oh, my God.
The easiest place, of course, is in the open grave of someone else whose husband will be buried above her the following day.
There you go.
And Dave is like, we'll just hide him in the coffin of the old lady. She's got to have decomposed enough. And when they open the coffin, she is not decomposed enough. So Dave jumps in the coffin and starts stomping her flat so they can fit this other body in.
Oh, God.
Jesus.
Yeah, it is a pretty uncomfortable scene. But meanwhile, Carl is making you hate him more and more every minute. The next day, Mustafa's wife and son come to the restaurant and ask Carl if he knows what happened to Mustafa, and he's like, "Well, I have no idea. I haven't seen him." But he is so racked with guilt that he gives his pay to Mustafa's wife, even though his friend Dave says that's going to make you look pretty suspicious. And then the next day, Mustafa's son sees Carl at a pool with Sophie, and knowing that Sophie is also having a relationship with one of the Greek owners, Mustafa's Turkish friends confront Carl. And this all kind of culminates in a third act that has Carl kind of on the run. It's a small town, and he's just kind of basically missing everybody who's looking for him. So he's not really on the run, and he's such a loser, he has nowhere to go, and all this stuff. Everyone who sees him wants to beat him up, but the stakes are never really anything more than that. There's a boy loses girl moment and stuff that follows that is very predictable. But the whole thing wraps up in a way that I thought was mostly humorous, if not very satisfying. So in the end, I'm glad I finally saw this, but it's not making my favorite Discovery list or anything like that. Tagline: his wife left him, his mother moved in, he killed his assistant, and now he's in love. Trivia. According to Eamon Donnelly at the website The Island Continent, this Australian movie, quote, has been credited as the first modern Australian black comedy, unquote. The movie features two male leads, Sam Neill and John Clark. This is an Australian movie. Both Sam Neill and John Clark are Kiwis, not Aussies.
Oh, I did not know that.
Sydney Morning Herald film critic Rob Lowing praised the performances of Sam Neill, Zoe Carides, and John Clark. Lowing described the film as a gem of a black comedy and certainly the best that Australia has produced in years. Now, remember, this was 1990. So, back then. The film's closing sequence is a reference to the biblical story of the Last Supper, with its visual aesthetic being designed around the painting of it by Leonardo da Vinci, and it is a very obvious Last Supper image that they go out on. And then, here it is. Okay. Death in Brunswick grossed almost $3 million at the box office in Australia. It was the second highest grossing Australian film of the year behind Green Card. Remember Gerard Depardieu and all that? So I decided to look up what Green Card made. $38 million.
Holy
God.
shit.
So Death in Brunswick is what you would call a very distant second place.
No kidding.
So, yeah, it's off my list. Sam is playing so against type for himself in this movie that I was a little disappointed.
Look at this motherfucker now.
I know.
Jesus Christ, man.
I know. Well, and now he's got some kind of horrible cancer, and he's dying. He basically wrote a book talking about I'm dying, all that stuff. And, but he is one of my favorite actors, and this was just a very weird thing because he always looks like that in every movie. He looks well put together and well dressed. He's wearing like a loose baggy T-shirt, and
How old is he meant to be in this?
34.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's pretty funny when he's in the back of a cab making out with this girl, and he says, you know, how old are you? And she says 17, and he kind of pushes her away, and he's kind of stretching and trying to come to terms with this, and he's like, she's like, how old are you? And he goes, 34.
Wow.
Did you look up the posters for this thing?
Yeah, it's.
You guys should look this up. These are two very different advertising styles.
Yeah, and the one that I saw was the knife one, and I remember seeing that years ago and going, oh, I bet you this is going to be great. He's some kind of weird serial killer or something like that. No.
That's too bad.
So we're going to have to do this one more time so I can get a movie I really like off of my list.
Well, see, the weird part for this one is mine was off. It wasn't bad, but it was not good, the movie I watched. So you got this one
Vanessa,
right, so
hold
I'll
on.
definitely have to do.
I don't know that we can do another one because what if I pick wrong again?
Pick wrong.
No.
You didn't pick wrong with Tombstone. You just had a strange reaction to it.
Yeah.
You didn't like it. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. And I'm assuming you at least like this a little bit better than the one from Poughkeepsie Tapes.
I mean, there was some pretty funny moments in this. You know, him pacing back and forth while his friend is stomping on the old lady's corpse to try and make room for the body that they're going to put in there. That was very funny.
Oh my gosh.
He stomps on her head, and Sam Neill, Carl, is up above, and he's like, "Oh my God, what is that smell?" And I was like, "Oh no!" So anyway, that means it's my subgenre pick, and I want to try something kind of different.
Cool.
Eric, you were talking about, you saw the trailer for the new Alien movie. Looks really fucking cool.
Yeah,
Gotta
it
admit.
does.
I was thinking that every once in a while we might pick a franchise that has a number of movies, and each of us picks a film from that franchise. And that franchise, to start this off with, is going to be the Alien franchise.
Nice.
Cool.
So I would say anything but the first one.
Hey, it's got like Walter Hill connections here too.
That's
Oh my
true.
God.
That is absolutely true.
Oh, Eric.
How has he not directed an Alien film, man?
Well, his connection beyond the first one has always
Yes.
just been executive producer because he was smart enough to get in on that first movie.
Yeah.
So he's had nothing to actually do with any of the other films.
Just collect the check.
Yeah. So, okay, so we're going to be talking about Alien films. You know, and there's some really good ones in there.
Yeah.
Some. Sure.
There are some really bad ones in there. Choose wisely.
Oh, man.
Okay, so here we are at the end of the show. This is where we like to thank everybody who is out there liking and sharing posts, who's participating on the Strange Eons Radio Talk page, which has turned out to be like the only Facebook page I like going to anymore.
Same.
Yeah.
You know, there's no bullshit. There's no politics. It's just a bunch of weirdos talking about movies.
Hey,
and-
look, there's a new post on the page. Yay!
Yeah. Or if you call in, you can call 253-237-4266. That's the Strange Eons Radio hotline, and leave us a message. Michael DeBronzo knows how to do that. I feel like Somebody else could learn how to do this.
I'm telling you guys, plug it in your phone.
DeBronzo is not that smart. If he figured it out, anyone can figure it out.
Whoa. Don't isolate our one fan. Jeez Louise.
Also, big thanks to everyone who's participating in the Value for Value system, which is if you get a little value out of this, turn around and put a little value back into it. You can do that on our website, which has links to a sustaining donation at PayPal or a one-time donation through PayPal, or you can buy us a coffee. I think you can even do a sustaining buy us a coffee if you wanted to just monthly give us $2 or whatever. You decide the value. That's how this works. I believe that's it. I have a book out. It's called Secret Language of Spiders. Go to Amazon and buy it, or reach out to me here, and I will sell it to you for the exact same price, but I will add shipping, and I will autograph it. So,
and then review it spectacularly.
Yes. You know, I would love to get honest 5-star reviews from everybody. So, okay, that's it. We will be back in 7 short days. We are going to be talking the Alien franchise. See you next Thursday. Transportation and other considerations for Strange Eons Radio, produced by Pan Am Airlines. When you think of traveling, think of Pan Am. You can't beat the experience. Guests of Strange Eons Radio stay at Econo Lodge Everett. It's an easy stop on the road, you know what we mean. Strange Eons Radio is recorded live in front of a studio audience. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving us a positive review on your favorite podcast app. Sit, Ubu, sit.
And I spent so much time not saving Liam Neeson